Saturday, the 24th of June 2023. This is the Camnet TV menus. To present it, my name is Marco Kozi. First, we take a look at the stories making the headlines. Zambians are tossed to debt restructuring. Opposition leaders criticize the debt restructuring program. Government to provide relief food to hunger victims in the Western Province. And in international news, Africa watches as WAGNER stages mutiny in Russia. In sports news, Kazakhstan-based Copper Queens Quartet to boast Germany international camp. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
The FAR's 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a debt with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Residents of Shangombo district in the Western Province have called on government to improve the road conditions in the area. Speaking to Camnet News on behalf of others, Hagantu Chintu calls on authorities to prioritize the road that connects Shangombo to Senanga district. He says the bad road network is affecting their daily movements. And some of the motorists say the construction of the road will promote economic activities in Shangombo. Here's a report.
The poor state of the road in Shangombo district, Western Province, has continued raising concerns among residents. Economic development is directly linked to a good road network among other equally important drivers. This is because quality roads and good connectivity leads to people, services and markets all central to economic development. The residents have called on the government to improve the condition of the roads to enable them access movement with ease. According to them, the bad road network is affecting their daily movement and a big factor in everyday business.
So kutoka kulia bona kwa tena ande nilika kwa nezika bande umabona mkokaona ozo kwani kufitoka sioma mwakalana kona ye 13 hours amukofita kwa sioma kisi 16 hours mukwa kwao kona atisabu maswe kakuri golufu manalika ikwa hule ahulu kwa Lusaka kaka ikuli wadika zeta kwana batu balu nyanja bagesa ona mukwa kwao mutu unakoye bupifa ulekewa 260 kwacha ka 25 kg bakesa kuli mukwa kwaona usinya ile kono masenya CDF abazeli kufumana babangu ni kwa kabai ya handi yangana twale kwanu na kolina kikugereta fera kubya mateni mani zava ya mateni babe mateni macho mali baza fera kugereta mateni fera basiona twako 2 days ma pothole kichu.
They say the construction of the road will promote economic activities as it will ease the movement of goods and services.
From here to Congo, we found the difficulties because that is the place whereby we can take our things for sale. From Sesheke to Zaka, we are getting very difficulties because the road is in a mess. Actually, wakupa ku president. Meanwhile,
Shangombo District Commissioner says government is working on that.
Shangombo Sioma Road, it is there in the presidential pronouncement. It will be upgraded to bituminous standard, and when we talk of development, where there is good road network, there is development, or development reaches that area faster. So it is our hope and prayer that this pronouncement becomes a reality, and we strongly believe in our president and the government, because our president is, it does not just talk, or the government, we don't just talk, but we act on what we promise to our citizenry. Other than that, the upgrading of our road to bitumen standard under PPP.
Miriam Kaiba reporting for Camnet TV News.
Western Province Minister Kaperwamba Ngweta has acknowledged that Shangombo district has been affected by hunger. Earlier this month, the traditional leadership disclosed that Shangombo district has been affected by hunger owing to the dry spell that was experienced during the 2022-2023 rainy season. And the provincial minister has disclosed that they have engaged the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU to provide relief food. Details in the following report.
The 2022-2023 rainy season accommodated both tragedies in form of flash floods and dry spells. The people of Shangombo in Western Province have been severely hit by hunger, thus calling on authorities to provide relief food. Recently, the secretary to the royal establishment in Shangombo district, Western Province, Dominic Shameno, told Camnet News that there is hunger in the area. He explained that basic commodities such as meal meal and cooking oil are fetching at exorbitant prices.
High cost of living, because a bag of meal meal now, as of yesterday and today, it is at 265 kwacha per 25 kg. And when you go at the market, availability of market, there is no availability of maize, and the bucket of maize is at 180 kwacha. So when you look at the families, calculation of government is about 6 per family, but as the set up in our villages is more than 6. It's about 12, 16 and the like. So you'd find that it has impacted much because there is a high cost of living, and the people, they are not managing to buy those meal meal, and even the meal meal where they are buying it in Osaka, they are coming in low pace, because as of last week there was availability of meal meal, there was nothing.
Meanwhile, Western Province Minister Kaperwamba Ngweta has told these journalists that the government is cognizant of the problem and that measures are being put in place. He says the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit has been engaged.
But in the case of Shangombo, Skongo, some parts of Skongo and some parts of Sioma, the rainfall was very, very little. You could say the dry spells were more pronounced than in other areas. And because of that, definitely, that had an effect on the crops there, to the extent that the citizens have not gotten the appropriate yield. Of course, a report was made to our office through the provincial coordinator for the MMU, and arrangements were made to secure some maize for the people who are affected, and we were assisted with 200 metric tons of maize. And the idea is that once that is finished, the MMU in Lusaka will still consider assisting us. So yes, something adverse happened in terms of the weather, but we are on top of things to make sure that the well-being of the citizens is not threatened.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Various citizens and the United Party for National Development UPND members from across the country trooped to the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport in an attempt to catch a glimpse of President Hichilema's return from the debt restructuring negotiations in France. The Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has described the debt restructuring deal as a masterpiece in steering economic and social benefits to the country. President Hakainde Hichilema says the debt restructuring deal will enable the country to channel resources to economic and social sectors with the aim of transforming the economy. Speaking shortly after he arrived at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, President Hichilema challenged the civil service and private sector to focus on hard work. Details in the following report.
These are residents of different age groups from various parts of the country who have braved the cold to catch a glimpse of President Hakainde Hichilema as he arrived back from his 2-day working visit in France, where he sealed the debt restructuring deal for the country. At the back of the excitement and hype from the citizens, President Hichilema says the debt restructuring agreement is key to fostering economic and social growth of the country. He predicts that the country will increase investment in revenue generation. Speaking when he addressed multitudes of supporters that gathered to receive him at the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, President Hichilema called for hard work and focus from the government, the civil service, and the private sector.
Sincere apologies for the video clip that had no audio. However, we continue with the news. Meanwhile, the opposition leadership movement party has charged that the much celebrated debt restructuring is not a solution to addressing issues affecting the country. Party Deputy Secretary General Chalwe Chandalala says the party is not jealous of the UPND administration. What they have managed to strike a deal to restructure 6.3 billion in debt, however, calls for homegrown solutions to avoid over-borrowing. And Party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma says the party will continue to issue checks and balances to the current administration so that the right things are done. The duo was speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka Saturday.
Despite the United Party for National Development administration having breathed a sign of relief, as the outlines of the deal aimed at lifting this country out of its debt crisis have been unveiled, the opposition leadership movement party charges that the debt restructure is something that should not be celebrated, as the government ought to find a homegrown solution to avoid more borrowing.
Nobody talks. And when we remind the new dawn to say, you cannot go the route of just going to deal with the debt restructuring. Then, Mwankala, you don't want to be seen to be doing something. You are waiting. No, the IMF have said, how about these people? Why are they following you? Why are they following you? Every day they are trekking to your airport. And there are these small companies which are coming with basic tools. Pick and shovel, they are looting your resources. You are told you have no capacity.
Zambia struck a deal to restructure $6.3 billion United States dollars in debt owed to governments abroad, including China, in a breaking through for indebted nations around the world that have faced lengthy negotiation with their creditors. China is the largest official creditor to Zambia, with $4.1 billion United States dollars owed to the Export-Import Bank of China alone. Speaking during a media briefing Saturday, the opposition party says there is nothing exciting.
By today, Mr. HH should be proud that a simple young person in a Misisi or in Kanyama is congratulating him to say, Wakateka Vesu, Vare Bomba, Vasangiro Bunga, Pali 150 Tatuare Quansha, but a Pature Quansha, Isaka Bunga, Pai 50 Kwacha. These are the things Zambian in Misisi, Zambia in Shuangandu want to hear and want to see. So we as leadership movement, we know to say, even Nango Wakwanishe QUARTET debt restructuring by UPND, in the next 20 years, what are they going to do? Nothing. Some of the leaders to they are not going to be there 20 years from now. So we need to care for future generation.
Meanwhile, the party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma says the party will continue to issue critical checks and balance to the current administration so that the right things are done.
Let's localize production, because our IMF, they've been singing so many choruses. No, we are going to make sure that we bail you out. No, what? Look at the period now. So we cannot continue in the route of just being rated by these foreigners who do not stay here. Because us, we are the ones who are feeling the heat on the firing range. And we were supposed to hear by now, Wakateka, to mention about ZESCO. Let them lower the electricity tariffs. But it's a we know if IMF wants whenever you pay. Why? Because the IMF, its role is to make sure that they make you weak.
While a bailout agreement had already been reached with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Zambia needed to structure its debt to unlock much-needed funds. This debt restructuring process is a critical step toward regaining financial stability, fostering sustainable growth, and safeguarding the well-being of its citizens. Although the details of the deal have not yet been released, it appears that Zambia will be granted an extended repayment time of over 20 years, including a 3-year grace period with interest-only payments. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Citizen First Party President Harry Kalava says there is nothing to celebrate over debt restructuring, saying Zambians will still have to bear the burden. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Kalava says transferring the current problems to the future is not the solution. He says, just like the Patriotic Front, the United Party for National Development, UPND, administration will push the burden repayment to the next administration. Here's a report.
Debt restructuring was inevitable for Zambia given the country's journey to what governance actors termed as a borrowing spree with impunity by the Patriotic Front administration, who utilized most of the resources towards infrastructure development, which the current administration has been claiming that was a gimmick to get kickbacks. Debt restructuring was among major tasks in the United Party for National Development administration, led by President Hakainde Hichilema, undertook. After frustrations owing to delays at wind-up negotiations, Zambia successfully agreed new repayment terms with its state creditors on up to 6.3 billion debt, including over 4 billion owed to China. There's been divergent views on the debt restructuring process, with organizations like the National Action for Quality Education expressing happiness.
And now that debt is going to be restructured, we want to appeal to the government that starting next year, we need to see significant increase in the national budget, in the national allocation to education, from 13.9% today to somewhere more than 20%, so that we can upgrade teachers, we can build more classroom spaces, we can gazette new schools, we can buy more computers, and make sure that all the issues that are currently affecting quality education in our country are attended.
In as much as we appreciate the structural agreement, and in as much as the structural agreement is good for our economy, it is important that as a country we begin to venture into homegrown mobilization resource projects, so that we avoid depending on external debt and on donor funds.
Meanwhile, Citizens First Party President Harry Kalava feels there's nothing exciting by pushing the responsibility of paying debt to future generations.
Actually sad, because we are talking about again a government that had promised never to contract any new debts, a government that said it had the solutions of how it was going to restructure our debts, but clearly they don't have any idea on how they will restructure the debts. And so they are now passing the burden to future generations, and probably to a party like ours, Citizens First, because we are coming in. So we are the ones who will be dealing with this debt. And anyway, ourselves, we know what to do with the debt. We know where to start from. We know how to unbundle the debt without putting a heavy burden on the people of Zambia.
The agreement reached at the summit in Paris calls for Zambia's debt to be rescheduled over more than 20 years, with a 3-year grace period during which only payment on interests are due. This also means that Zambia will unlock additional funding under the International Monetary Fund IMF program. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
A civil rights activist, Bredna Changala, has charged that there is no need to worry about a formidable opposition, saying citizens are the biggest opposition. Mr. Changala says the country should not worry about politicians defecting from one party to the other because most of them are nomads in the political circles. Meanwhile, Opposition Patriotic Front Acting Media Director Edwin Lifwekelo says the former ruling party is too strong and has quashed allegations that the party is dead. Details in the following report.
Zambia, being a democratic country, has given birth to several political parties that seek to form government. The question still begging for answers is, are the political parties formidable enough to offer genuine checks and balances to the UPND administration, who are enjoying the wheels of power, with its critics claiming they are being persecuted? Well, civil rights activist Bredna Changala says the luxury to worry about a formidable opposition political party is long gone, saying that citizens are now the biggest opposition. Mr. Changala believes the citizens now have better scopes of providing checks and balances, as they are the ones who understand all the effects of the country runs.
No, Antonio Kwanza has left the party. He's a nomad. He has migrated. And instead of migrating in silence, obviously he will put his colleagues in dispute. Those are internal feuds. They don't represent the state of the nation. The party in Zambia are the people. Political parties are nothing but platforms on which they ascend and reorganize the people to ascend to power. The opposition is the people. And the people are there to oppose anything that doesn't serve their interests. So don't worry about Shoni Tembo's political party, the PF political party, Diary's political. Worry not. Worry about the people.
Meanwhile, Opposition Patriotic Front, through its acting media director, Edwin Lifwekelo, boasts that it is still formidable despite losing power to the UPND in 2021 and quashes allegation by former media boss Antonio Manza that the party has no direction.
Insinuations that there's no direction in PF is neither here nor there. I think that is just in the minds of individuals who could be frustrated for one reason or the other, or they have a totally different agenda altogether. In terms of direction, I think that we are not short of leadership in the Patriotic Front. There's not even leadership crisis. The issue of that there's no formidable opposition, I think that is wrong, because how many members of parliament do we have in parliament? We have almost 58 members of parliament, and that in itself, members of parliament's responsibility is to provide oversight in parliament, which they've continued to do, to bring government up to speed in terms of their policy direction. Where they felt government has gone wrong, our members of parliament, our pragmatic members of parliament, have been resilient. They've provided checks and balances through that. We are aware, yes, that even when you say that there's no formidable opposition because the people are the opposition, yes, it's true. Because even UPND itself, when they won the election, the so-called 2.8 million people you are referring to, you think that those 2.8 million were members of UPND? No, not at all. That would be a joke to imagine that the 2.8 million who voted for UPND were PF, were UPND members. No, it's not true.
In the democratic dispensation such as Zambia, the existence of opposition political parties remains key in providing checks and balances aimed at developing the country, hence their existence is paramount. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The women's wing of the Lusaka Presbyterian St. Columba's Church has seen need to provide knowledge on financial literacy to women in rural communities so as to help in developing their survival skills. Presbyterian St. Columba's Church Minister in charge Chala Habasila says churches should go beyond preaching the gospel and helping the needy communities. Meanwhile, Zambia National Commercial Bank Zanaco Chief Executive Officer Mukwandi Chibesakunda says financial literacy is key in developing various skills and add value to the country. Here's a report.
According to Isaiah 58 verse 7, Christians are directed to share food with everyone who is hungry, share a home with the poor and homeless, give clothes to those in need, and not to turn away relatives. In the quest to realizing the word in practice, Lusaka St. Columba's Presbyterian Church Women Wing has seen the need to provide knowledge on financial literacy to women in rural communities through an annual conference for women to be held in August in Eastern Province. Church Minister in charge, Chala Habasila, says time is now that the church should go beyond preaching the gospel and serve society through works that improve their standards of living.
Generous giving to the glory of God. We must understand, beloved in the Lord, that we too are called upon by God to be generous givers. We too, beloved in the Lord, are called upon to be like Tabitha, to impact our lives within our communities through our giving and through our generosity. We can make all the difference, beloved, in the Lord, in the lives of those that are around us. Our giving, beloved, in the Lord should not, beloved, in the Lord, be limited only in terms of giving, in terms of monetary.
Meanwhile, Zambia National Commercial Bank Zanaco Chief Executive Officer Mukwandi Chibesakunda says prioritizing financial literacy to rural communities is key in amassing collective economic and social development.
Zambia National Commercial Bank, in short, ZANACO, takes corporate social responsibility seriously and continues to be a reliable partner to communities and the nation at large, such as the lives of women who are striving to make a huge difference to their families, the church, and the larger community where they reside. Therefore, ZANACO continues to respond to the needs of both our communities and our corporate partners. I want to appreciate the great strides the women are making at St. Columba's to make sure that they share knowledge with others, especially that they will be traveling to Chipata.
The women's coordinator, Timothy Chiumia, says women in rural parts of the country lack information on various empowerment projects and believes providing knowledge, among other things, will help them stand independently.
Women have seen it necessary that they go and share that knowledge with those women in the eastern part of our country so that they can be able to utilize those skills to better the lives of their families, better their own lives, and also contribute to the good and well-being of our nation.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
On that note, we break for some commercials. We have more news coming up. Don't go away.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soybeans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, chew me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interactive Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
The FARS 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023 to 2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you are born for greatness. See you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now for the rest of the news. Vice President Mutalena Lumango has called on Zambians to support local manufacturers by consuming locally made products. Ms. Nalumango says the government, in collaboration with the Zambia Association of Manufacturers, ZAM, started a Proudly Zambian campaign aimed at promoting the production and consumption of high quality and locally produced goods and services. The Vice President said this in a speech read on her behalf by Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipo Kamulenga during a Proudly Zambian Sustainability Walk in Lusaka. Ms. Nalumango notes that such events are cardinal for the public and private sector as they create a platform for engaging in matters relating to sustainability and support for local goods and services. The Vice President further stated that embracing sustainability for a bright future is one way to resolve the effects of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And speaking at the same event, Zambia Association of Manufacturers, ZAM President Ashu Saga, disclosed that the association recently signed an MOU with the American government through the U.S. program to bring ESG as a training platform for the ZAM members. The African Asia Rural Development Organization, ADO, says there is need to develop interlinkages on various programs to effectively empower youths to venture in the aquaculture sector. ADO Secretary Dr. Minoji Singh says the organization is running an aquaculture project in collaboration with the University of Zambia and across the country, whose aim is to improve the livelihood of youths and women in rural areas. Meanwhile, Youth and Sports Director Davis Munga has observed the need to simplify investment opportunities if young people are to participate in economic development. He notes that there is potential to ensure that rural youths and women are developing in agriculture.
And we feel that aquaculture is one of the fields which brings not only food and food security, but it will bring finance and empowerment to rural areas, especially to youth, and women also can easily undertake these type of projects. It can be full-time, it can be part-time, but you've got a high potential of development of aquaculture, especially mini projects. So it's a collaborative effort to make sure that lots of benefits trickle down to community areas. We really want to empower community people. We want to decrease their miseries and drudgeries of many youngsters and women in the rural areas.
The rural youth, the rural areas stand to be developed. There's potential to ensure that the rural youth and women are developing in agriculture. There is also introduction of technology-related production in agriculture that they are introducing and sponsoring for the benefit of the rural areas and also the vulnerable rural youth and women. So Zambia has been one of the major countries that have benefited in the training in terms of human resource training, skills development, and so on and so forth in the areas of agriculture.
About 10 villages, including a school in Gulumunyanga area in Siampande ward of Gwembe district, are facing a critical shortage of safe and drinking water due to lack of boreholes in the area. Siampande ward councillor Semina Gabila has lamented that the lack of water in the area is forcing villagers to cover more than 3 kilometers in search of the commodity for the nearby clinic. Ms. Kabila has further expressed concern that the unavailability of water is forcing the residents to extract water from shallow wells. She has since appealed to the relevant authorities to take prompt action by drilling a borehole in the area in order to mitigate the crisis.
Tumina mabohos ntisima village ari 10 ugumnyanga zone tatujis even a single ball including school basi jigolo usenseni balenda asinzaga kuza kujigolo ihotela menda uti asambe umanza 3 kilometers kubola kuhotela menda jipamp kuja kujipadia. We have changes to water at Gumnyanga area, even the whole ward at Siampande ward. We are relying on shallow wells because of we don't have boreholes. Please, we're asking government to help us in terms of boreholes, anything. We are asking government to do so. So for Lomba to home turanganye gutegwa ibulwazi bwantundu manzi ujeje kambo mansenya ahaliwa muhimi god muhigara moto tegera menda mansenya mwahaliwa nanga twayimana uti malaria ulibobo kwamba home ndio yitikwa hili. Together we can.
On that note, we take another set of commercials. Still ahead, we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
The FARS 2022-2023 season is over, and the 2023-2024 season is around the corner. Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is looking for young talented football players from across Zambia, aged between 16 and 23 years old. Camnet soccer trials will be held on the 30th of June and the 1st of July 2023 in Lusaka at 09 hours. The venue is Kabulonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Your skills could earn you a place in the world of soccer greats in Zambia and the world. Camnet Stars Football Club, the local national team, is a team born for greatness with visionary players. Let us join hands and contribute to high levels of Zambian football standards. Don't miss these trials. The future of Zambian soccer is dependent on you. Make a date with us. Remember, you were born for greatness. See you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back, and now in international news, the Russian capital and the regions of Rostov, which borders Ukraine, and Lipetsk, announced on Saturday that they were stepping up their security arrangements after a head of Russian paramilitary group WAGNER accused the Russian army of shelling his fighters.
Unrest in Senegal is having a ricochet effect on the country's sheep herders ahead of the Muslim holiday Eid al-Adha, one of the 2 times of the year herders make the most profit. For months, they have been gearing up for the holiday, also known as Tabaski, when Muslims traditionally sacrifice a sheep for a family feast. Sheikh Ba is among many herders who have stayed back, too afraid of entering the Senegalese capital, Dakar. We left Mauritania with hundreds of sheep to come and sell them in Senegal, but when we arrived, we lost more than 100. We transported them in a lorry. They died of hunger and thirst because the distance was long, the roads weren't good, and above all, we did want to make a stopover to feed the cattle because we had heard that there were violent demonstrations in Senegal. We were afraid of stopping and running into demonstrators who might seize the cattle, which is why the sheep couldn't rest or feed. Authorities estimate billions of CFA in losses as only 42,000 sheep have made it to the capital so far. Ismail Asso, an official with the National Sheep Breeders Association, says some herders were attacked in Kermassar, east of Dakar, prompting the association to encourage farmers to stay clear of major cities. We have told livestock farmers and operators to stay in the waiting areas in certain villages and to avoid entering the big towns. We fear if they go to the big towns in these tense situations with their livestock, the demonstrators can take it over. Shops can be closed, businesses can be protected, but farmers have no choice. They can't move around with their sheep. 16 people died in the 3-day unrest, according to local authorities, while Amnesty International puts the total at 23. The opposition is planning a new unauthorized demonstration in Dakar on Sunday. Sierra Leoneans began voting Saturday in fiercely contested presidential and parliamentary elections amid a cost of living crisis that sparked deadly riots last year. Voting due to end at 5 p.m. GMT got off to a late start at Wilberforce Barracks, a voting center in the capital, Freetown. Some 3.4 million people are expected to choose between 13 candidates vying for the presidency, including incumbent Julius Maada Bio. This general election is the 2018 rematch between the 59-year-old retired military officer and his technocrat rival Samura Kamara, 72, leader of the All People's Congress. Incumbent Bio has had to govern a country battling poverty, hard hit by COVID-19, then the war in Ukraine. In August 2022, inflation and exasperation led to riots killing 27 civilians and 6 police officers. The risk of violence is quite present, although the campaign has been calmer this election. Local authorities and celebrities have called for peaceful elections, regardless of the outcome. The Russian capital and the regions of Rostov, which borders Ukraine and Lipetsk, announced on Saturday that they were stepping up their security arrangements after head of Russian paramilitary group Wagner accused the Russian army of shelling his fighters. On Friday, Yevgeny Prigozhin said he had ordered his men to march on the Russian Defense Ministry and appealed to government soldiers to join the uprising. On Saturday, Russian President Vladimir Putin called Wagner's uprising a stab in the back, calling for unity. The authorities in Moscow and the surrounding area say they have declared a counter-terrorism state of emergency against the background of the armed uprising. Wagner soldiers are active in African countries such as Mali and the Central African Republic, where they have helped the government of President Faustin Archange Touadéra train the army and maintain relative security in and around the capital Bangui. Wagner fighters are also deployed in Mali, where the military government is battling an Islamist insurgency. The men have been accused of committing many atrocities.
And now in sports news, Copper Queens coach Bruce Mwape has implored the team to remain focused ahead of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup next month. Mwape says the team picked up lessons from the Ireland-friendly match, which Zambia lost by 3-2. He has also given an update on the status of the Kazakhstan-based Copper Queens Quartet, who will be playing their final league game on Saturday, June 24th, before heading to Germany for international camp.
After the Ireland game, we actually came back last night, and our program was to start with recovery, which we have already covered, and on injuries, I don't think we have got serious injuries. They are just minor injuries. But at the moment, it's only Barbara who didn't train this morning. The rest went through the recovery session. We are not 35 altogether. There are 4 players who are missing. The ones from Kazakhstan. Those 4 have not yet reported, and those are Ellen Chandasori, Irina Ilungu, the goalkeeper Catherine, and Martha Tembo. So as soon as they come, I think we'll be able to announce the final squad. Yeah, the things that we picked up from the Ireland game, I think it's only on set pieces. On set pieces, I think that is where we have a challenge, especially aerial balls. Aerial balls, they are giving us a challenge, and we'll try to work on that. And the other thing is on finishing as well, because the game that we played against Ireland, I think we created more chances than our opponents. So if we had utilized, scored some of those chances, we could have easily won that team. So we are also looking at that. The message to the players, so what we want from them is just to stay focused and make sure they continue with the same rhythm, like the way they played against Ireland. I'm sure that was a good game. If we continue and improve on that one, I think we'll stand a better chance of getting to I think the finals.
On that note, we come to the end of the main news, but before we go, let's have a look at the stories that made the headlines. Zambians tossed to debt restructuring. Opposition leaders criticized the debt restructuring program. Government provided food to hunger victims in the Western Province. And in international news, Africa watches as WAGNER stages a mutiny in Russia. And in sports news, Kazakhstan-based Copper Queens Quartet to boost Germany camp. And now let's take a look at the Camnet verse of the day, which comes from the book of Leviticus, chapter 16, verse 8. Which says, I keep my eyes always on the Lord, with him at the right hand, I will not be shaken. That's it. That's all we had for the news at 19:30. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin at 22. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Marco Kwakozi. Have a blessed night.